Okay. Woo. Signs in the background. Yep.
Yep.
We're going. Hey, everybody. This is Matt. We're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching our Thursday night live Q&A with Matt and Chris, the only live Q&A guitar building and repair show with actual guitar builders. You know what I mean? Now, I love Philip McKnight and Brad Angove and Big D and all those guys, but they're not professional guitar builders. You know, like Brad's a lawyer and Philip McKnight is a YouTube like Jedi, and Big D is I think he has like a day job, doesn't he?
Okay, I don't know what he does. Yeah.
So those guys are cool, but we're the only one with actual guitar builders. So anyway, our show tonight is, of course, brought to you by our good friends at Flipside Music, the great American guitar store. If you're in Denver, if you're in the Denver area, go check them out. Say hi to Ike, say hi to Dylan, say hi to Nico, say hi to MJ. If you are not in the Denver area and it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you can still shop at Flipside Music just by going to their website and check them out. They've got everything you need at a price you can afford. At popular prices. I don't, yeah. I'd also like to thank our latest sponsor, and that is Aquacoat. I actually got an email from Chris at Aquacoat the other day, wanting to know what we thought. And I said, well, I made a couple videos about it already. And so I sent her the videos. So a couple people from Aquacoat have been commenting on, you know, like people had questions about Aquacoat. And so they answered a few of those. So it's neat to have someone who is a sponsor, and like I probably should have told them I already made the video, but you know, I'm kind of scatterbrained, Chris. We have been breathing so much mahogany dust today. It's not even funny.
If I start to sneeze, it's mahogany.
Yeah.
It's not the vid.
And you know how it goes. Everyone's going to go, you ought to be wearing a mask. And you're right. I got it. Yeah. But you know, sometimes it's like there's just so much crap flying around in the air.
We had two of our biggest machines, our dustiest machines going at the same time.
Yeah.
Pin router and copy carver.
Yep.
And yeah, somebody came in and they're like, it's thick in here.
Yeah, it is.
So,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, as those of you who, we're going to get back to the rest of the sponsors here in a second, but for those of you who don't know, our very dear friend Andrew St. Pierre is in the shop this week, and we are making, he challenged us. He really did. We wanted to make, he wanted to excuse me, have us assist him in making a couple guitars, heavily inspired by Rick Turner from Turner Guitars, specifically the Model 1. If you don't know what that is, but you've seen Lindsey Buckingham or Fleetwood Mac video from the last 40 years, you've seen that guitar. It's that thing that kind of looks like an acoustic, and but there's so much going on with the Turner Model 1, and we're going to deep dive into that in a video. We've actually got one of them right here to show you guys. Just to give you an idea of how much of a super genius Rick Turner actually is.
That's
okay,
for sure.
Let's see. I missed a couple of sponsors. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan and Calvin at Guitarwood Experts. Guys, we actually used some ash from GWE today. The guys at Guitarwood Experts are super, super cool. And they always have the greatest wood. They'll give you wood, I think is the actual the slogan for Guitarwood Experts. No, it's not. But give Guitarwood Experts a shout and tell them the guys from Texas Toast sent you. I'd also like to thank our friend Mike Learn. You do not know this, but Mike Learn sent me a picture of the guitar that you and he and I made last Saturday. It's already in paint, and it's going to be crazy cool. Wait for a video on that. It's going to be called What Would Mike Learn Do? And that is, I actually am in the process of editing that. And as soon as that is, is a real live thing, it's gonna go live, and you guys are gonna go, oh my God. So, what else, Chris? What am I forgetting? Probably something, hopefully nothing.
Yeah, I'm just like decompressing now from the day.
It's been a crazy couple 3 days.
Brain exercise.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, David has a question if you're ready for
Hi, David.
Sure.
David wants to know, he apparently is suffering from a stripped out strap button, and would like to know the best, easiest way to fix that.
You got to have wood and you got to have glue to do it the best way. So you can jam shit in there. You can jam a toothpick in there and thread it back in. It'll probably work okay. I've seen guys put solder, like bits of solder, and then that works okay. Bless
Told
you.
you it was going to happen.
Yeah. But the best way to do it, and you don't need to have like hardwood. You could use toothpick or something, but you got to have glue. And you got to mash a bunch of that stuff in there with glue. And sometimes having a longer screw isn't the worst idea either. Unless, of course, you have an SG and you go poking through the fretboard. That would be bad.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Ready for another one?
Ready.
Texas Special 86 would like to know, when doing a clear finish, a natural finish, do you ever use sawdust and glue to make grain filler?
I don't. Okay, grain filler.
Grain filler, not repair.
Yeah, not repair. Definitely not. It sands so much harder than the wood that you're going to be sanding.
Yeah.
One of the greatest tricks for grain filler with like a color in it is to. You guys are going to think I'm crazy. Joint compound.
Drywall
mud, the kind of stuff that you can mix dye, you can mix trans-tint dye into that and make something that looks like pudding and swab it on there. I have not tried it, but the good people at Aquacoat have told me that you can dye this stuff and use it.
And Devin Riddle
Is that what he
has
used?
done it several times.
So yeah.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't want to use Aquacoat, because it's hard to get, I don't know why would you not want to use Aquacoat. But if you are opposed to using, some people don't like to use, they want to use the sneaky trick way. You know what I'm saying?
And Aquacoat's not the sneaky trick
No,
way?
they want to feel like they're getting over on somebody, or you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
You know how
so
that
using
sometimes goes.
Like egg whites?
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I think the Aquacoat is the way to go. Aquacoat is a sponsor of this show, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other products out there that can be used.
Yeah.
But I do have to plug our sponsor, so give Aquacoat a try. If you don't want to do that, there's some other ways that you can go. I like joint compound. How about this? I've used joint compound. I liked it so much, I used it like 5 or 6 years ago. I've never done it again. But it will work.
But not on a natural finish, right?
No.
Okay. You may or may not want this one. Dan Andradas
Okay.
would like
Hi, Dan.
a quick update on the bird's eye maple fiasco.
Oh, okay. Dan and everybody who wants to know what's up with that bird's eye, you need to know that I did not buy that wood. Okay? I had a customer buy that and had it drop shipped here. I have every reason to believe that the customer is telling me the truth, but I don't know. Okay? I have every reason to believe that the numbers that he gave me are accurate, but I don't know for sure. I have every reason to believe that everything he says to me is true, but I don't know for sure. Okay? So here's what I do know. That wood is complete garbage, and there's nothing that can be done with it. The best thing that I can tell you guys when you're buying that kind of stuff is not, go and beat up on this guy who sent it, but rather to go to someone like Dan at Guitar Wood Experts, who is trustworthy and is reputable. And if they can't show you a picture of the wood, what were the pictures like?
They were like really up close, really small sections of wood. There was no pictures of the whole piece of wood.
Yeah.
It was like here's some bird's eye, really
Almost
small.
like just a few square inches of picture.
You actually tried to match up the photo to see if it was from
Chris
that piece of
did,
wood.
yeah.
We did, and I could only match one piece definitively.
Yeah.
But they were so up close. It was.
So, Andy, where did you get the bird's eye that we used for yours?
I got it at two separate mills, one in Michigan, which I can't remember the name of either of them. One was in Ohio, which was the less nice stuff.
Okay, the other one was in
The
Michigan.
Michigan stuff was the nice stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
ended up
we had the receipts for that stuff.
And they're
We
floating
lost
around here
but-
somewhere.
I'll look it up.
The takeaway from the bad reality that was that bird's eye maple is you have to do your due diligence. And if the guy says, I only take cash, maybe you don't go there. Okay, and I only take cash and there's no refunds. How about not going there?
And he puts his wife on the phone.
Yeah, yeah. That guy. Okay, so yeah, that did happen to me. I was asked by the customer to contact the wood seller, and I spoke with his wife, very nice lady, and I could hear the guy screaming in the background, just at the top of his lungs that went through the phone. And I'm like, you know what, man? I don't have a dog in this hunt. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to show everybody this lousy garbage bullshit wood that you put out here, and let them know that there are people like you out there. You know, watch out for guys like that. However, it didn't happen to me. It didn't cost me any money. So I don't feel like I can say with any degree of, I can't reputably go, it's this guy and dox him or whatever, go to his house and start chanting and keep him up at night. I don't want to do that. Because I'm not sure what the buyer and the seller have worked out.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, I have a question here directly aimed at Chris from Doc Sultanan.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, Doc.
Doc would like to know, on average, in your current finishing process, what your finishing schedule is. How many coats of sealer, color, top coat on average? And how does that compare to when you were doing it in nitro?
Okay. So sealer, depending on the wood, we'll get anywhere from 2 rounds of sealer to 4 rounds of sealer. More open pore woods like mahogany and ash take a little more sealer. On when we do just sealer as grain fill.
Yeah. What about when you use Aquacoat?
Then you can do mahogany in 2 coats.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat. So like a maple neck, I'll do with the Simtech. I'll spray 1 round, not light but not heavy, kind of a medium coat, because it soaks in a little bit and then it starts getting hard and it stops soaking in, and that's what I want for that next round. And then I'll do another good round of sealer. Color coats, usually if it's colors or let's just say metallic colors and solid colors, usually 2 to 3 coats depending on the color of base coat. Transparent colors, as many as it takes to get to the right color, because it's somewhat transparent, and depending on, but usually that's usually 2 to 3 coats as well. And then finish, 1 tack coat, which is a really light coat, and then I'll usually do 3 to 5 medium coats of finish paint on stuff, depending on if it's had binding that's been masked, that's going to need to get scuffed back and smoothed out. It's a little easier to do when there's 5 coats of clear than 3 coats. Yeah.
Cool.
How's that compare to when you were spraying
nitro
lacquers,
Oh, man.
like nitrocellulose or acrylic lacquer?
Well,
guys, can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Guys, stop using the word nitro and poly, okay?
Let's just call it lacquer.
If you want to talk about nitrocellulose or acrylic lacquer, use both terms.
Well,
and maybe I think Doc's probably trying to go, Matt's gonna hate it if I say nitro.
I think he was giving you a little.
Yeah. I can tell you that. Let's just talk about lacquer clear. It was at least 7, probably up to 10 or 12 coats of lacquer clear to get the same amount of paint on there, because lacquer there's so much solvent. You're mostly just spraying solvent. You're spraying very little solids. Right. So yeah, our paint now I think is as thin or thinner than when we were doing lacquer. It's probably as thin.
Yeah.
But yeah, way less material, way less time to do that.
Cool. Without objection, I'm going to keep you working.
Sure.
Okay. Michael Davis
Hi, Michael.
wants to know what is the best angle for a bolt-on neck guitar when you are installing a Floyd that will not be recessed?
None.
None.
No angle at all. You just need to. You can add like a half a degree, 1 degree, and kind of hedge your bets to get a little bit of. But generally speaking, when you don't, when you have the no recessed Floyd, it's decked. So there's no pulling up. So I think what you mean is if you want to be able to pull back a little bit on that Floyd, you might want to add half a degree or 1 degree. But I would do no angle on a Floyd neck that's not recessed or is recessed.
Yeah, I think it's all down to neck pocket depth at that point.
Yep.
The thickness of the neck and the neck pocket depth.
You have to remember that you want the distance from the top of the frets to be a specific amount, depending on what your bridge is, to the top of the guitar body, and adjust accordingly, either with depth of the neck pocket, or if you can kind of cheat that a little bit with angles and things. But yeah, for me, if I'm doing a Floyd, I don't use any relief.
The wonderfully named Zither Beast.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. He has a question about a telly setup, and he wants to know if the low E saddle in a telly style is normally set lower in the saddle versus the middle and high. Because I guess he's talking about a traditional three.
So there's could be a couple of different things that Zither Beast might mean. One, in order for the guitar to intonate properly, the saddle will have to be back towards the bridge end of the guitar a little bit. That could be what he means by lower. Or it could mean that he needs it to be lower height-wise. And that's all going to be a component of what radius your fretboard is. So yes, the G and the B, I'm sorry, the D and the G strings will always be higher than the E and the E string, or the A and the B string, and that's just a consequence of the fretboard radius.
Yeah, you want all your string heights to be about the same amount off of the fret.
Let's use this as an example.
Okay.
Let's say that this was your radius, and you would want the strings over here to be quite a bit lower than the strings that are up here. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. We'll show you more of this here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, can we keep going?
Sure.
Charlie Mike Guitars.
Hey, Doug.
Wants to know if you have any cool tips on binding F-holes.
The only cool tip that I have for binding F-holes is use acetone in a syringe and pre-fit the binding, and don't try to glue it in there use acetone in a syringe with pre-fit binding.
Okay. RMS Footballer 62
Okay.
is curious
Hello.
to know what color dyes you might use for white poplar. That seems to be a personal.
Yeah, you can use any color. I guess it kind of depends on the wood. I personally don't like dyeing poplar all that much straight to the wood. I would rather shoot a candy color, that same candy color over the top. I think it turns out you have less chance of it being splotchy.
So what you mean by that is seal the guitar with Simtech sealer, sand it, spray paint mixed with dye to get the color.
Mixed with dye, yeah, to get your color. It just turns out more even.
And you could, if you're spraying lacquer, you can mix the transient dyes directly into the lacquer.
Yep, into your clear.
Squirt it on the guitar, and if you have a sealer coat and then a candy coat, which is what that would be, a see-through color, it will be completely even. You won't have like a weird splotch. Right where I wanted there to not be a splotch.
Yeah,
But or maybe he means, though, I want to make the guitar white. How would I make it white? Well, how would you do a see-through white?
See-through white, then what I would do is I would do the same steps. I would seal it up good, and then I would mix some white paint into some clear and make like a translucent white, and then spray on until it's the right amount of white. That's how they did like the Mary Kay finishes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, your mention of Simtech sealer leads to the next question from Eric M.
Hey, Eric.
Who wants to know, when you spray Simtech, afterwards, what solvent do you use to clean your guns?
Lacquer thinner.
Just lacquer thinner from wherever we can get lacquer thinner the cheapest.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And something we do now that we didn't used to do is we take the gun apart. So we put the tip and the needle. Well, not the needle, but we take all the stuff, take it apart, put it in a container half filled with lacquer thinner and keep it in that.
Totally
because-
submerge it.
Totally submerged. Yeah, it makes the gun last longer, and you don't have to clean everything out quite as well. Because what'll happen is you think you got it clean, but you still got some Simtech in there, and that stuff, because it's hard to get out, and you screw everything back together, and the Simtech kind of runs all together, and it glues your gun all up. And so
The other thing is, it's nice to, like, you guys might not know this, but I actually do paint some stuff sometimes. And it's nice to come out of the spray booth and yank that gun apart and throw it in some stuff and get out of there fast, because it stinks. And even if you've got, like our spray booth has a booth and then it's not a clean room, but it's kind of an airlock, but you still stink, and it's hot, and you gotta. We wear Tyvek suits when we're spraying sealer because you don't want to get any of that stuff on you. So you got a mask and a hood and a suit and gloves, and it stinks like crap, and you don't want to get any, on. So get everything disassembled from the gun, let it sit in lacquer thinner, and come back and swab it out later. But don't spend. You don't want to dilly dally.
No, clean the outside of the gun a little bit. Clean all the interior bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We used to use disposable cups. We could still do that.
Did we use? I never used that for Sim. Oh yeah, we did.
For Simtech,
those
we
Harbor
did.
Freight
the
cheap
Harbor Freight super
jobs.
cheap ones.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the 3Ms. I'm like, we use those.
Those a little too nice. But and we're still spraying out of fairly cheap guns because the Simtech just beats them up and doesn't make them last all that long.
Get the biggest orifice size gun you can get for the cheapest amount of money.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to last forever. You're going to throw it out and just get a new gun.
And that stuff self-levels really well. So it's literally how much can I put on, how fast can I put it on.
Yeah.
Mike Learn
has
weighed in out of concern. He wants to know, are you losers out of beer or something?
Mike, first of all, it is so great to hear from Mike Learn, because Mike is one. He's definitely in our cool book.
I can't believe I just answered some paint questions in front of Mike Learn.
I know, right? Yeah, Mike, answer all those paint questions.
I set you up on that. I held his question back.
Mike, I try to not. So today was nuts. We should probably show a little bit of this guitar.
Yeah.
But that's a great question. So during these live things, we don't drink. We always wait until we're done. And today was nuts, and we came down to the wire. I looked up and I was like, crap, we have an hour to go before the thing.
Before the live stream.
And we're still working on this. So I want to deep dive. Well, I don't want to deep dive, but I want to touch on what we have been doing all week. And I think so. You guys will all understand why this is such a giant pain. Maybe. In terms of like how to figure out how to do it. So, like I said, our friend Andrew St. Pierre has been joining us all week. It's been great having him in the shop. He wanted us to help him build some guitars that were heavily inspired by Rick Turner's Model 1 guitar, the kind that Lindsey Buckingham plays. And I think we should do a video on this, like of how we did it. And here it is so far. This is the first one. And this is Honduran Mahogany.
What's so hard about that?
Yeah, right. Well, one thing that's hard about it is it's 25-inch radius on the top and back, so it actually goes together in two pieces. This just came out of the vacuum bag, so all of this glue here will get ground off. It also it looks like a sound hole, but the pickup actually goes in here and can rotate to be whatever sonic arrangement you want to do. Crap, we have to do that tomorrow too. It's got a 9-volt battery box here that gets covered up because this has a acoustic simulator. And so so that's one of the things about it. That's awesome. The necks have this is actually way fewer laminates than the Turner model necks have. This is the one that Andy's been working on. And yeah, this has a Purple Heart fretboard and Purple Heart stringers, and we'll plop right in. Well, here, I'll just plop it right in, and you guys can kind of have a look and get an idea of what this might look a little bit like. Something like this. And if you guys want to see a video on how we did this radius, maybe we'll film one tomorrow. We've got another one to do. Maybe we should film it and edit it up and post it. I think. What do you think, Chris?
That's a good idea.
What do you think, Andrew?
I would love to do that.
Okay, cool. What do you guys think? I want to know.
So this thing was a lot of work and a lot of mind, kind of, because it's two halves.
Yeah.
And it's got routing on both halves of the back, but you have to do them at different times. And as soon as one side's not flat, then you're doomed. You can't set it down.
Yeah.
You know, it just rocks on everything. So you gotta.
There's a 3x3 whiteboard with the order of
Exactly.
go of steps.
Yeah.
That's full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've spent the last.
Yeah.
That's full
4
of
days.
1 day's worth of stuff.
Yeah. And it made us have to rethink every step and every single thing we do.
This other neck here, our friend Russ at Music Engineering Services did the inlay for this, and it looks super, super cool. Sorry, it's got tape on it, but it's got little fleur-de-lis on there. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And it's been a really fun project.
Yeah.
And especially now that we know all of our steps work. For the last 4 nights, I wake up and go, is that the right order? Is that the right step? What if we did it? No, that's not going to work. So
in answer to our brother Mike Learn's question, are we out of beer? No, the refrigerator is totally stocked with beer.
That's right.
But there was so much ciphering going on today that we couldn't
Right.
be drinking.
Well, we don't normally drink until after the day's done anyway.
No one believes that.
They don't. But Andy can actually back us up.
He
on
can
that.
attest to that.
At
I
least
can.
while he's here, he can vouch for us.
Shocked the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great.
But for these live things,
I'm like my father. That's great.
Yeah,
Andy.
for the Thursday things, we want to be, it's not just all fun and games.
Gotta be
We
on your
wanna-
toes.
Well, because we want to answer as many questions as we
Right.
and
possibly
answer
can.
them the right way, not just be dumb.
Now Sunday is like the
Yeah.
gloves come off.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, the Thursday thing has made Sunday just that much dopier.
Oh yeah, that much
'Cause now
definitely
we
that much
don't
Get
drunker.
the
to
hard
have-
stuff out of the way.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about guitars at all. We can talk about, whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
Liam G is confused and
Hey, Lee.
thinks he's watching the Brad Ango show, but he'd like to know if you know of any good wipe-on finish products.
Nope.
No, I really don't.
You should ask Brad Ango. He's
That's
the
correct.
guy who does
Like
a lot.
King.
So first of all, I don't think this is anything like the Brad Ango show. Beauty, eh? What? And
Well,
and
he is right there.
he is
Noel.
right there.
He's right
Yeah.
there.
You could see him from here.
Yeah. Brad apparently is sending us something. I don't know what it is. We'll find out. As soon as we know, we're going to share it with y'all.
We'll do an unboxing.
I miss the banter and the backing and forth that we
Yeah,
had with Brad
yeah.
during the contest. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can get some of that going again.
I understand
I know he's
fairly busy,
yeah.
so hopefully, and he's I guess this time of year he's really busy. So
Yeah.
at the first of the year, maybe he'll finally grow that mustache and
Yep.
give us
Get with it.
some shit.
But I have not found any wipe-on finish products that I really, really like, with one exception.
Yeah.
And that is, so oils and things are fine, but I don't consider that to be like but I don't think that's what you want.
No, I don't think that's what he means.
There is a product called Wood Tone, and it's spelled kind of funky. WUDTONE, but it's WUD, Wood Tone. They have a product that I actually used once. I tried one time, and I'm like, yeah, pretty cool. It's not for what we're doing, but still pretty good. And it looked good, and it came in colors that were cool. And it said what it did, and it did what it said. So yeah, check out Wood Tone. How about that?
Cool.
Okay. Roberto Hernandez Jr.
Hey.
has a trick question, so I'm going to read it
Okay.
so we get it exactly right. I installed a Floyd in a cheap guitar. When I tune it, the Floyd stays slanted forward. I tried to screw the claw all the way in, but it still stays up. Is there something else I can do to fix that?
Does it, if the guitar is not tuned, if the strings aren't all tight, does it still stay up?
Yeah, it sounds to me like you don't have enough tension on the. It is possible
Sounds like
that
the
you
springs.
Yeah, you don't have spring enough. You don't have any spring in your springs.
Yeah, you might not have enough springs even in it.
Yeah.
It could be that your strings are too heavy, and that's causing it.
Question of tension.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So give that a shot. So what your Floyd should be neutral. You know, it shouldn't go forward or stay back. And if it does, you should be able to adjust that claw to make it synchro. And as long as it's in sync, in synchronization with the springs, holding it this way and the strings pulling it this way, you can set it flat or level, or you can have a little bit of pitch and yaw, whatever you want. So yeah, it sounds like your springs and your strings are not synchronized, and that's why they call it a
Whammy bar.
synchronized tremolo. Yeah, thank you.
I like the pitch and yaw. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Aeronautics here.
Some I don't know which Floyd you got. They make heavier duty springs for that stuff too, and some of the the Fender American standard style tremolo comes with really soft springs.
Here's a long shot. If you have an old Floyd that is of dubious quality, how likely is it that you could have so much deformation on the knife edge that it just stays in one spot?
Yeah.
Everything else is fine, but you just got so much, galling of the metal that it won't. I mean, that is a possibility.
Yeah. The other thing too, the studs that raise and lower the whole assembly, if those are too low, and you can get them in, you can put them in too low. It can make, and it might not do it until you start pulling with the strings. But if those things are too low, it'll rock up on that knife edge and just sit like that and not move at all back.
So assuming that everything else is correct, you need to have synchronization between strings and springs. If all that stuff is good, then start to look at some of these other things. You got a big hunk of crap in the recess and it's stopping the something like that. So.
Yeah.
Steve Walker, Guitars,
Steve?
wishes you guys both well.
Thank you, Steve, and same to you.
He'd like to know, before applying a clear coat, should I flat the color coat first, or just clear coat it and flat and polish afterwards?
Yes, the only time I ever sand color is if I messed it up.
Yeah, fix it.
Otherwise, yeah, and most paints, like lacquer, it's not such a big deal. But if you're using a more modern paint, they usually have a window of time in which to put your clear coat on, and it's usually not very long. It's 45 minutes or an hour, and up to 24 hours that you can put the clear coat on. But I definitely don't sand anything until I'm done with clear.
I remember even when we were spraying lacquer, that was your rule. Like,
Yeah,
never, ever touch the color
No,
coat.
as soon as colors
Unless
start
it's
going
got
on,
dicked up.
yeah, as soon
Never
as
be the
color
same.
starts going on, yeah, and with a metallic, if you sand a metallic, you wreck it,
Yeah.
and you have to
Start over.
respray the whole thing. And yeah, like if you have a blemish in a metallic and you have to sand it flat, you have to remetallic the whole thing, or use a color blender, which is another whole hassle. And so you're better off doing as good as a job as you can, getting it all laid out perfectly nice in your color coat, and then put your clear on, and then worry about sanding.
Sticking with the finishing theme here, Joe Blow says this may be a stupid question.
Sounds made up.
Yeah, I know.
His mama named
And
Joe
I
Blow.
don't even know what this stuff is. He says, would Avalon King ceramic coating be good protection over guitar paint?
I don't know what that product is. It's a ceramic, right? Did it say
He says
ceramic?
some sort of ceramic paint.
Yeah, so I don't. There's a whole new automotive ceramic coating that makes finishes just a lot tougher. I don't know that you need that on a guitar, but I could be wrong.
Well, depends on where he plays it, I guess.
Yeah.
So it looks like it says get the perfect look for your car. So it must be a nano coating protection.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. This is something that we have not tried,
Yeah.
but complete auto detailing services. Oh, you know what? This is.
It's just a topical thing. You
It
put on
looks
top?
like it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I guess it's pretty durable
Is
from
it?
what I understand. Yeah, I don't know that much about it.
According to the Avalon King website, click here and try our DIY kit today, and get the feeling of driving a new car every day.
I think
New
it's
car
supposed to
smell.
be really slick, and it doesn't hold dirt, and it washes real easily, and it stays shiny for a really long time.
Cool.
So if you run your guitar through a high pressure washing setup, then maybe. But I you know,
Always outside in UV, and
would you? Okay, based on what you know about it, and what you know about what the products that we use, should I use Avalon King ceramic coating on my guitar?
no.
No.
I think you should do a fabric top with Sunbrella. Protect it from UV fading.
Yeah.
Michael McCoy
Hey, Michael.
wants to know, do you use wood conditioner for pine on poplar, you might mean, or poplar, and do a wood stain?
No.
No.
We rarely, if ever, stain any lumber besides ash.
Yeah, just like we did in the class when Mike was here.
Yep.
That's the only time that we put any stain directly on wood. We might do like if somebody wanted the flame to really pop on a flame maple top, you can do that. But
Yeah.
most woods, ash is the exception, and I think maple is the exception.
Can be,
Don't
yeah.
always take stains and dyes the way you want them to.
Evenly.
Evenly,
That's the,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you might get lucky, you might not get lucky. There might be a little bit of grease on it. You might end up, and once the problem with that is it's hard to go back after you've started putting some sort of color on it. And then you just end up making it darker and darker, and then you paint it flat black.
That's so true.
But as always, try it on a test piece
Yeah.
and see if you like it.
Yeah,
the odds of
yeah.
it working the first time are so bad that you almost never try to do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Do it a couple of times and you give up. Follow up, Mike wants to know how long that needed to sit in the vacuum bag.
About an hour. It's just tight bond. So we're not going to go grinding on it. But it was in the vacuum bag for about an hour, and then we pulled it out to show you guys. And we won't do anything to this until tomorrow. But when Mike Learn was here, we made the whole guitar like nothing was glued up. The fretboard wasn't attached to the thing. So we spent one day, and that included glue time. So
Bunch
Tight bond is
of
good stuff.
people want to see videos on this build.
okay.
Yeah, for a lot of interest in that. Somebody, who was it? Beavis Christ.
Beavis. Hey, Beavis.
Just an opinion being rendered here. He
Okay.
says he'd honestly not build with poplar unless it's a paint finish.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I understand that. I've done a few poplar guitars where I chose my wood wisely as far as poplar,
Yep.
and the sunbursts came out okay.
Yeah.
But it's not the prettiest wood, that's for sure.
Tafty's Guitar wants to know the scale on this thing.
24 3/4, just like the Rick Turner model.
And Dirty Knobs informs us that Rick CNC'd them.
Not in 1973.
Not in 1979, he
That's
didn't.
right. Yeah, I think that's true.
That might be, in fact, that is very, very likely the way that they are done today. But I have every reason to believe, based on what I know about 1979 guitar building technology and some artist drawings,
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
there are no CNC machines. So he had an apprentice who did. Was that on his website?
Yes,
Andy?
it is. Yeah.
So you can go to Rick's website and see some like architectural drawings of the process to build a Model 1. And he actually alleges that he had a 25-inch radius. It sure looked like a planer blade to me. It could have very easily been a sanding arc that you could push the pieces through. But in the architectural drawings, there are very clearly 3 blades on a tool that you would shove this thing through. Now, if you're gonna make one, if like Lindsey Buckingham goes, "Oh yeah, thanks," and that was that, then you wouldn't gear up to do this necessarily. Maybe I'm not sure how that worked. Rick I have talked with him on like Facebook groups once or twice, and it's always been like, hey, that's cool, and he's very, very nice guy. But I don't know him. I've never spoken to him personally. But he's definitely a mad scientist. He's a genius because we just copied this. He had to come up with it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Mike Ivy.
Hey, Mike.
Mike should send you an email. He wants you to talk about the upcoming neck shaping class.
Okay. Well, so the upcoming neck shaping class is later this month. Chris and I are about to get the necks ready to send out, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We are. I'm gonna cap it. If you don't have your order in to do the neck shaping class by now, too bad. If you know what I mean, get it into the next day or two. If you're been like, I'm gonna wait, because we ship out a neck as part of the class, so you get to watch and shape your neck while we're doing it. And of course, with all the videos, you can watch the videos as many times as you want.
Yep.
ICBLF
Hey.
is curious to know whether there's a brand of router bit that you recommend over others.
Oh boy. I think router bits are one of those things where if you buy the good one, you will not be disappointed. If you buy the cheap one, you might get away with it. That Freud, those are always good. Like Vermont American makes a good tool, and you can buy those at like Home Depot or Lowe's or something.
Lowe's is the one that sells those.
Okay.
Is it Diablo?
Yeah,
That's what Lowe's sells.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think. Or there's a sandpaper
Home
thing.
Depot sells those
No,
here.
they sell bits and
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
blades.
The bits that we get from Woodcraft are pretty good. The white side, those are good cutters.
Yeah.
They don't last forever, but nothing does. So.
The bigger the bit, the more concerned I am with where it comes from.
Yeah.
Like little, even like half-inch bearing bits for plastic and stuff like that. Home Depot's probably fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as they start getting big and you start putting them in real tools,
Or they're
I'm a little
solid
more
carbide
worried.
spiral cutters.
Yeah.
Just get the good.
Yeah.
Get the good one, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, and I've used some cheap little 1/4-inch things from Harbor Freight that I don't know that I would use again.
Jeff Parker has a
Hey, Jeff.
multi-part question.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I was actually going to take the first part, but I'm going to let you pros handle it here. First part of the question is, ever make a guitar from a tree?
Nope. I think what he means is, have we ever chopped down a tree and
I know that's
yeah, but no, I have not.
He says his neighbor took down an old growth oak today, solid
Okay.
core, not rotted out, and he gave it to him. He's going to cut it and let dry for a few years. Any advice? If not the guitar, I'll make furniture.
My advice would be
Did not do it.
make furniture.
Make furniture
Yeah.
out of it. Yeah.
Oak's just not a guitar wood.
And I mean,
No.
now having said that, that's
You
where
can use it, yeah.
someone's gonna go, oh yeah, well Brian May's
Brian
guitar's made
May's
out of.
guitar, yeah, and it
You're
weighs
right.
like
You're right.
It weighs like 11 pounds, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just not a traditional wood.
yeah. It
Waiting
doesn't.
2 years for it to
It,
Be
depending
ready
on
to
how
go.
heavy saws it, might
yeah,
be more.
it might be more. Yeah, it'd be okay to make a top with it, maybe.
I don't know
At
what
some
sort
point.
of mill arrangement you have either. So, if you're just gonna let the tree just sit, this chunk of I'm sure he's not gonna do that. But boy, yeah, I would say get it to be as dry as you possibly can and as straight as you can possibly get, and keep it in a place where it can be dry and straight, or call Dan at Guitar Wood Experts and maybe, and while in the meantime, call Dan at Guitar Wood Experts, maybe get a couple of ash body blanks and make a couple guitars while you're waiting.
Yeah, I don't know how much money you're saving. Oak isn't all that expensive.
Yeah.
to go to the store and buy it.
Here it's not.
No,
where
maybe.
where
It
Mike is,
isn't.
it might be.
It isn't.
Yeah.
And so you're saving yourself not a lot of money for waiting for a really long time. And then, you wait 2 years, you don't know what it's even going to be like. You can start hacking into it, and it's heavy as hell, which it is.
But I also understand the panache of
yeah,
is my
that'd be
neighbor's
cool.
tree or it's from my grandmother's house or something, and I get that too.
Yeah.
So, but gee, if you're asking us, what would you do with it? Build guitars or furniture? Furniture.
Yeah. Tom L.
Hey Tom.
would like to know if you've ever mounted a telly neck pickup from behind with no pickguard, keeping the small cutout just like the pickguard would have.
We've
Yes.
done strats like that. Have we
We
done?
also did a tele pickup.
When did we do
that
that?
blood red Telecaster.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
EMGs. That was a Telecaster.
That's right.
Size EMG.
That's
neck
right.
Pickup that we did that on. Yeah.
That was cool.
That's kind of the Prince. I think that whole idea came from the Prince Cloud guitar. As far as doing it that way,
It works
That's the first time I saw it.
particularly well with EMGs too, because they don't have that extra triangle of the Strat one doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
It's not as pronounced, or is it
Yeah.
there at all?
I
Even?
don't think it is there at all on the Strat one, but yeah, it's a cool way to do it. And we did that one guitar, that Challenger with all 3 Strat pickups mounted from behind through the top with no pick guard.
That had a Mike Lauren pinstripe paint
It
job.
did.
That was
It
cool.
was a good looking guitar.
Sweet.
It was pretty neat. Yeah.
Mike Pinion
Mike.
would like to see a video on the vacuum bag technique.
I have 2 or 3 videos on my vacuum setup already, but we could do another one, especially since we have another one of these guys to do. We could do that. People ask me like, "Hey, have you done a video on this?" Yeah. Well, can you put a link to? I don't even know what they're called, but if you go to our little, I think if you are on our YouTube page, I know for a fact there's a search thing. But I do this dumb thing. Instead of putting vacuum bag in the title, I put hot suck action or something. So
You did, I remember.
yeah,
So look for hot suck action on Texas Toast.
Google that, your wife will be
good.
happy.
Yeah. Don't Google hot suck action. But if you're on our website and you're doing a search specifically on our videos and no one else is, and you use maybe try vacuum first. Maybe it's in the keyword or something.
Or
But yeah.
bag.
Yeah, hot suck action.
Richard
Sorry.
M. has a recovery
Hey, Richard.
query. He says he had to alter the lower horn on a T-style body because of chip out. So now the pickguard is not a perfect fit. What do you suggest is the best way to trim it to fit?
Ooh, do you have a little oscillating edge sander? That's the hot setup.
You can do it that way. Yeah, I guess it depends on how off it is.
Well, so let's say you had to modify the pickguard substantially.
Okay.
What definitely won't work? Scissors. No matter what. Okay. And the reason I say that is because I remember Eddie Van Halen was talking about how, I think this was when he was doing a lot of drugs, was talking about taking scissors to a pickguard. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy crap, how long would that, it just,
Maybe he means snips.
maybe,
yeah.
but
Tin snips.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So there are some things that just absolutely will not work. If you're just modifying it a little bit or a lot, yeah, you could snip it with dikes and then sand to that. I mean, that'd be like if you got no tools at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Sanding block and some sandpaper, and then you could do it depends on if it has a bevel or not. You could
It
do
sounds like he has a
bevel with that.
router because he had chip out. So
Yeah.
that'd be the best way to do it. Go make a template.
That's what I would do.
Make a template for the modification and then use a pattern bit on your router and do that.
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
We may even have a video coming up that shows you how to make a template from an existing pick guard.
We do.
Lots of people don't know how to do that.
There you go.
You're
gonna show ya.
reproducing a pick guard from like what is it? It's a
Oh, it's a Tisco something. or
Really?
another. It's
Yeah.
it's got a
Something
lot of
60-ish.
big switches.
and you
yes.
can't call WD and
You
get
don't
one.
wanna-
No,
Yeah.
this one's all broken up, so it'll be a really good video. That may happen next week.
Cool.
Joseph Caswell asks
Hey, Joe, how are
a
you?
question, and I'm going to ask you, may I take that question?
Sure.
Joseph says, That Model 1 looks like a really small body guitar. Is Andy a smaller guy? Andy
Now-
is
now,
not the smaller
Joe
guy.
is 6'4".
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
he's
Joe's big.
he's not a diminutive person.
No.
He's a full size man.
Yeah.
He is.
He's
yeah,
yeah.
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 So yeah, the body itself's pretty small, but it's
Fits
almost
inside an
3
LP.
inches thick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
guitar actually fits inside a Les Paul.
So yeah, Andy is your brother.
He's 6'3".
Okay, so yeah, so you guys are about the same size as Joseph.
Yeah.
So this is a small guitar, but as Chris pointed out, and you have to forgive the glue. This is how thick is this? Thing?
2 3/4
2 3/4.
is what we
it?
expect
What
it
we
to
spec'd
be.
out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have the...
Let's see how
Well,
close we got.
Yeah,
It's
there
big.
was talk of 1/16 either direction.
It's it's just under 2 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably because when we did this, it
Yeah,
got
Yeah, we
2
knew it was going to
3/4,
be,
yeah.
but yeah, we started out with it being that size. Yeah, and the guitar I think was pretty much designed for Lindsey Buckingham, right?
who's not a
Who
big
is- and
man.
he's not a
yeah.
big guy. So
And Rick Turner himself is not a big...
yeah,
No, he's probably 5'9" or 5'10" at the most.
yeah.
Tafty's Guitars wants to know, have either of you ever found a reliable way to get back bow out of a vintage neck with a Gibson-style truss rod? Good luck with that.
Heavier strings.
Yeah.
You know, Hamer used to do. People say to me all the time, "Why on earth would you want a truss rod that went both directions?" Well, because sometimes you might. Hamer used to do this thing where they use the vintage style rod, but what they would do is they would add some tension to the rod, and then they'd radius the fretboard, and then they would take the tension off, so that if you loosened the rod, it actually did something.
Yeah.
It relaxed into a little bit of
Yeah.
Tom L. says, Andy the Saint has the nicest Challenger ever made. I agree, Tom L.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do.
It certainly has one of them.
Definitely one of them. There's some commentary and there's a lot of Oak commentary, all advising him not to go
I
that
see.
route.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't see a problem with oak, but I did a video a long time ago where I said, if you're just getting into guitar building, man, avoid hippie woods because they're expensive and they look like, hippie wood, unless you're really into hippie wood. But how about this? Instead of avoiding woods, try to focus on things like ash, alder, mahogany, maple, rosewood, ebony. And if you know what I mean, you could throw a wild card, 1 or 2 in there. Poplar has been used many years to make guitar bodies. But yeah, for the most part, I think that guitar buyers look for those woods. Now, as soon as you start to go, I want oak and babinga and bacote and ziricot and wangi and paduk and all these different things, you can certainly use all that stuff, but if the best way to go, the safest way to go is those woods that guitar players, provided you're making guitars to sell, those woods that guitar players expect are the best ones to use.
Yeah, and I think the reason that manufacturers use those woods is because of the ease of use of those woods. It has nothing to do with tone or any of that. It has everything to do with availability, price, and ease of use.
Yeah.
And as soon as you go outside of that, one of those things changes. Sometimes 2 of those things changes. It gets expensive.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get, and it's hard to machine.
It machines.
Yeah,
oddly,
it tears
yeah.
out. It does all sorts of bad things that you don't want it to do.
Steven Soba, or Soba,
Hey, Steve. He sent me a email earlier today
Yeah.
thanking us for,
he'd like to know how many of these Model 1 inspired guitars are we making?
Well, I can tell you this much. This is it, baby. We're making 2.
Yes.
I do not, okay. Andrew St. Pierre is, I'm gonna speak for him, not that he needs me to do so, but because I want to. He could just go buy one of these from Rick Turner. He could go buy 2 of them. You know what I mean? But he's into what we do. He knows why, he knows what we're about, and he appreciates that. And this is a guitar. He's basically building an heirloom instrument, one for his brother. And when I said, well, it's just as easy to build too, in this case, it really was.
Yeah.
Because there's so much work. But you don't save any money by having us build something that is, you can just go get.
That is production model.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I, for example, I do not want to get into the Rick Turner knockoff business.
No.
This would be something that I would do this for people, but it's a lot of money, you guys. It's a lot of money. Right now we have, there's 8 times 4 is 32. We have over 90 man hours in these 2 guitars right now, and they're not done yet.
No.
So if your time is worth anything, you would be money ahead to just go buy the Rick Turner one.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I hate to do that, but and maybe we'll make something that's not completely unlike this one day, but I just don't see it. Because I think that if you and I made these, how much would we have to charge? That would be more than the Rick Turner one.
Yeah.
So, and then you could get the real thing.
Right.
Like I say, I don't want to speak for Andy because I think I want to say he gets what we're about and he wants to do this. You can't call up, okay, how about this? You couldn't call up Rick Turner and go, hey, I want to come to your shop for a couple weeks and make a couple of these.
Right.
He'd be like, well, we don't really do that.
Exactly.
So.
But the challenge of doing it is the whole thing.
Yeah.
See if you could do it.
Yeah, this is definitely a process thing, and
And I'm giving my brother, who I love very much,
Sure.
an heirloom he's going to treasure all his life. So
Does he watch these?
no,
Okay, good. So yeah, we're not spilling the beans.
wouldn't have said that if he.
Yeah.
James Christoph.
Hey, my brother. Who?
Yeah, you
every
can
time I
stick it in
see him, I
his
want.
ear.
He
Yeah.
wants to know if you build anything nice like bass guitars.
Hey. Yeah, we build bass guitars all the time. My bass is a Texas Toast bass that we built. I
Yeah.
love making basses.
We just don't get asked to build that many,
No.
so we don't build that many.
And
But
we-
we have a couple that are
We rarely, but have built spec
in
basses
spec.
too.
Yeah, no, but we have a couple that are.
Michael McCoy says he likes house chestnut. I think he means horse chestnut. I'm not sure where you get that.
We used to use a lot of
Really?
butternut.
Butternut. Yeah, that's
And because it mills, and willow was a really neat wood too. Nobody wants a guitar made out of willow or butternut, but yeah.
Our Guitar 78 says, how many weed guitars are you requested to build being in Colorado?
We get, it's not unheard of for us to, yeah, people do this to us all the time. Hey, wouldn't it be cool to you guys make like a weed thing? What I can tell you is this, the line of people that will queue up to go, that's cool, is a lot longer than the line of people that says, shut up and take my money for a weed guitar or a fleshlight guitar or some kooky thing that, it's funny to talk about it, and I do a lot. But we have never made a weed guitar.
Quentin James has
Hey, Quentin.
has a question that this could be aimed at Chris. Is the Washburn Wonder Bar the worst invention ever?
The Washburn Wonder Bar, the worst invention ever. The Wonder Bar is their trim, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that I really have that much experience with it. It's probably not very good.
I would say that the
Accutune.
Accutune is one of is an even suckier bridge, but the worst invention ever is a really cool idea. That's a dumb invention. Is probably the gyrojet, but yeah, but that's a different industry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David L. asks a very broad-based question.
Okay. Hi, David.
And he wants to know if you can recommend a good wood supplier.
Well, I would go to Dan and Calvin at GWE Guitar Wood Experts. Check them out online. They would be more than happy to fix you up. I don't know where you live, but I do know that Dan ships all over the United States. And I think that if you really, really wanted to, they would probably ship, overseas too. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't have any wood suppliers that, you know what? if Dan, I've known Dan for how long have we known Dan? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think 5 years.
He's always been good to us. We have never gotten anything that was total junk. And
It's always even nicer than you
it's
expect.
way nicer.
Yeah.
And he never is like, well, we didn't have any of that, so I downgrade. He always upgrades you
Yeah.
if he doesn't have this
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I would check out Dan at Guitarwood Experts.
Yeah. The other place that we get wood locally too from
Sure.
a couple of lumber yards, like hardwood places, and I think a lot of people don't realize that that's a thing.
The
and that
real
your
problem
town
is that
probably has it.
some places purport to be hardwood dealers where they're actually flooring
Yeah.
dealers.
Well,
but
yeah, hardwood lumber specialists, but I'll bet you there's one in every large city. There's
I
probably
would bet
two.
you there. Yeah.
And
We
you
have-
can
we have
go
two
and
here.
Look at the wood, and sometimes, well, and you can even pay them to cut it. It's not like it's expensive for them to, cut it down a little bit for you.
We actually have 3. Remember, have you ever been to Centennial Hardwoods? So we
yeah.
have Austin Hardwoods, Paxton Lumber, and I don't even know if they're still around anymore, but Centennial Hardwoods in Broomfield was actually. And I haven't been there for so long.
Yeah.
They had a huge stack of koa that they weren't doing anything with. It was just slowly returning to the earth, and I'm like, how much you want for that koa? Yeah.
K. Cole 4001
Hey.
has a question. Is the maple edge binding much more difficult or a pain in the ass than using standard binding? Does it take a lot more time?
Bet it does. Wood binding is you have to bend it, and it doesn't want to bend; it wants to break. I don't have a hunk of plastic binding. Plastic binding, it's okay. It's okay. Plastic binding is very malleable, and wood binding is too when it gets that thin. But I am really not a super huge fan of wood binding. And Doug, our friend Doug Santianello, is having us do some wood binding on a Les Paul style guitar. The neck is easy, the body not so much. So I don't like wood binding. The neat thing about wood binding is you can use wood glue to attach it. The not neat thing about wood binding is you can't use acetone and a syringe to attach it. So yeah, it's more of a pain unless you're making a Bo Diddley kind of square guitar. Then that's easy.
Then binding, it's easy.
Binding is easy.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, that's been about an hour. I hope we answered as many questions as you guys asked. I'm sure we didn't, but as always, did we? Okay. We do this every Thursday. We missed last week because of Thanksgiving.
Right.
Oh, he says, let's go through this real quick. He says, I meant the bare edge of a maple top. Is that hard to do?
The bare edge of a maple top. What do you mean?
For the maple binding, for natural binding.
Faux.
Oh.
Yeah. No, that's actually pretty easy. It's just finished technique. It's just being good with tape.
Yeah. It actually works pretty well. So guys, thanks for watching our Q&A. We do this every Thursday at 5. I'd like to thank our sponsors, of course, Flipside Music, the great American guitar store in Denver, Colorado. Check those guys out. Dan and Calvin at Guitarwood Experts, say hey to them and tell them guys from Texas Toast sent you. Mike Learn at Mike Learn Guitars and Learn Airbrush. We've got a very cool video coming up with Mike. And Aquacoat. Thanks to Aquacoat for helping us out with some of this the professional high-speed, high-performance grain filler. Not high-speed, high-performance grain filler. This is the good stuff kids go for.
When you think Aqua, think Aquacoat.
Guys, we'll see you next Thursday. We'll see you Sunday with lots more laughs and crazy comedy. And we've got more videos coming up. You'll see some videos on this guy. There are a bunch of videos. I have to go. My brain is turning to mush. I think Chris is going to have to run out to the store and get me a hamburger. No. So we'll see you guys next time. This is Matt at Texas Toast reminding you that life is short. You might as well have a cool guitar. And if you're so smart, build it yourself. That's what I do. Thanks for watching, you guys.